What's up, Raider Nation? Let's talk trenches. The Raiders' front office, especially with John Spytek and Antonio Pierce leading the charge, clearly value building a strong offensive and defensive line. And heading into the 2025 NFL Draft, it's looking very likely that the Silver and Black will invest in at least one offensive lineman. So today, we're diving into the top offensive line prospects that the Raiders could target in each round of the draft. With 9 total picks and one in every round, there are plenty of paths this team could take, and we're covering them all. First, let's talk about the current offensive line. Believe it or not, the Raiders' O-line is stronger than most people give it credit for. Whether it's Jordan Meredith or Alex Kappa in the mix, or even Dylan Parham, there's a solid group of 6 players who can step in and compete at any moment. Sure, we can debate the final starting 5, but the depth is there, and that matters. Now, because of Spytek's clear love for building through the trenches, let's look at some prospects who could be in play at pick number 6 in the first round. Round 1. Pick 6. 2 names to know. Armand Mabunde, right tackle. Missouri adding him wouldn't require shifting Colton Miller from left tackle, which is a big plus. Mabunde is a powerhouse, standing at 6 feet 3 inches, 314 pounds, and posted an impressive 90.4 PFF grade last season. He's incredibly athletic for his size and brings that nasty edge you want in a lineman. He loves to dominate matchups, and if you plug him into this Raiders line, you might just be looking at a top 10 unit in the league. It might not be a flashy pick, but remember, Colton Miller wasn't either, and he's been one of the Raiders' most reliable first-rounders in recent memory. Will Campbell, OT, LSU. Another option, and maybe the more likely one at pick 6, is LSU's Will Campbell. He's already met with the Raiders during a top 30 visit and had formal interviews at the Combine. At 6 feet 6 inches and over 320 pounds, Campbell has the size and athleticism to thrive in the NFL. The one knock on him? Shorter arms, which some scouts believe might make him a better fit at guard. Still, with a 72.2 PFF grade and elite testing numbers, Campbell is one of only a few linemen in Combine history, alongside names like Tristan Wirfs and Trent Williams, to top 300 pounds, post a 30-inch vertical, and run a sub 5.40-second 40-yard dash. That's freakish athleticism. If the Raiders are looking to anchor their offensive line with a young star, either of these 2 guys would be a strong foundation. Round 2. Pick 37. Value picks with upside moving into the second round, the Raiders still have the flexibility to go in multiple directions. But if offensive line is still the focus, here are a few names to watch if they're on the board. Josh Conerly Jr., OT, the Oregon Conerly, met with the Raiders formally at the Combine and checks a lot of boxes. He's coachable, shows consistent improvement, and already has some chemistry with JPJ, something you can't ignore when building a unit. His tape against Penn State's Abdul Carter was one of the most impressive showings by any lineman all season. Carter rarely loses matchups, but Conerly handled him like a pro. If you can win those one-on-ones at the college level, there's a good chance you can hold your own in the NFL. Donovan Jackson, OL, Ohio State. Jackson is another prospect who could sneak into the first round, but if he slips to 37, he should be on the radar. Coached by Chip Kelly at Ohio State, Jackson allowed just 1 pressure in the college football playoff, a standout performance. However, Carter got the better of him in a separate matchup, which showed some of his limitations. The real appeal with Jackson? Versatility. He's played both guard and tackle, and in today's NFL, that's gold. You could plug him in at left guard right away. And if the Raiders don't end up extending Colton Miller long-term, Jackson might even develop into a left tackle option down the line. That's a wrap on the first 2 rounds for now, but with 9 picks total, the Raiders have plenty of draft capital to build the trenches the right way. Whether they go with proven power or athletic upside, it's clear they're committed to winning in the trenches, and fans should be fired up about that. Let's keep it rolling with more offensive linemen the Raiders could target beyond the first 2 rounds. Round 2 continued. Tyler Booker, offensive guard, Alabama. Next up, Tyler Booker, a physical, no-nonsense guard out of Alabama. He's not just tough, he's mean in the trenches. Coaches at Bama speak highly of his leadership and toughness, the kind of guy who'd rock a captain's C on his chest. And those are exactly the traits that guys like Pete Carroll and John Spytek value in their locker room. Now, Booker isn't the most athletic prospect, and that was on display at the NFL Combine. But if you trust the tape more than testing numbers, Booker shines. Pairing him next to a center like Jackson Powers Johnson, that's where things get really exciting. You'd be looking at a potential interior duo that could remind fans of Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson back in their prime. Booker and JPJ could become the Bash brothers of the Raiders' O-line, just bulldozing defenders all season long. Round 3, pick 68, mid-round gems now to round 3. And this is where you start seeing players who aren't household names, but could become serious contributors. Jonah Savaiinaea, OL, Arizona. One player with a clear Raiders connection is Jonah Savaiinaea. He worked under Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son, and the Raiders' current offensive line coach during his time at Arizona. That's a big plus. Savaiinaea has excellent length, making him an intriguing prospect to kick inside to guard. He's a durable 3-year starter, but his athleticism is more suited to interior play than tackle. At 6 feet 4 inches, 325 pounds, and with a 75.1 PFF grade last season, he brings reliability and physicality, two things this coaching staff loves. That connection with Carroll makes him one of the more likely targets in this round. Tate Ratledge, RG, Georgia. But if you asked who the Raiders should take at 68, Tate Ratledge. He's got the grit and nastiness you want in a right guard, the kind of guy who, after 60 minutes of football, leaves opposing D linemen sore for a week. And that's not an exaggeration. Remember how teams used to struggle the week after facing the Lions' physical front? That's the kind of tone setter Ratledge could be for Vegas. He's a 3-year starter at Georgia, a proven leader, and he backed it all up with elite athletic testing at the combine. The tape may not be perfect, but the traits are there. Plus, he's tight with Brock Bowers, and that kind of locker room chemistry can go a long way. Quick fan poll for the comments section. Here's the question. If the Raiders can only draft one offensive lineman this year, who should it be? Let's hear it in the comments. I'll share my pick right after this short break. Personally, I'm still leaning toward Armand Mabunde at tackle, but I also have a sleeper pick I'll reveal a bit later, someone who brings serious value on day 3. Round 4, pick 108, a deep cut to watch. By round 4, talent starts to drop off quickly. This is where teams need to get sharp with scouting. Charles Grant, OL, William and Mary. One name on the radar, Charles Grant, a small school standout from William and Mary. He had a top 30 visit with the Raiders and met with them at the combine, which shows there's legitimate interest. Grant's got insane length, a 7-foot wingspan, and moves well for his size. That kind of reach is rare, and teams will always take a chance on linemen with those physical tools. If you're building a bully in the trenches, and it seems like that's the Raiders' plan, these are the kinds of guys to keep your eyes on in the middle rounds. Let's dive back in. Some key names are still on the board as the draft moves into the later rounds, and the Raiders have plenty of picks to work with. Round 5, pick 143. Mid to late round upside by the time you hit round 5. You're not just looking for future starters. You're hunting for reliable, coachable players with potential. Wyatt Millam, OL, West Virginia. Wyatt Millam is a 4-year starter who didn't allow a single sack since 2021. That's impressive consistency. He played left tackle for the Mountaineers, but probably projects better as a left guard at the next level. He's a strong, smart run blocker with a solid football IQ, but he does have some athletic limitations. His quickness off the snap is a bit slow, and that's led to some penalty issues, 27 in total, including 12 last year. Still, he posted a 91.1 PFF grade and has enough power and technique to be a productive guard in the NFL. Miles Frazier, OL, LSU. Another name to consider here is Miles Frazier from LSU. A 4-year starter who saw action at both right and left guard, Frazier brings reliability and strong fundamentals. He has good vision, balance, and footwork, which helps him stay in control, even against quick defenders. Think of a player like Dylan Parham, not the flashiest athlete, but a smart technician. The downside? Frazier has smaller hands and lacks elite athletic traits, but he still earned a solid 70.3 PFF grade and has a lot of experience. Jackson Slater, OL, Oklahoma State. Next up, Jackson Slater, a prospect who the Raiders reportedly connected with during his pro day. At 6 feet 3 inches, 311 pounds, he's a strong north-south mover who can hold his own in the run game. Slater graded out with a 76.4 PFF score last season and was praised for his performance at the Senior Bowl. He's not ideal for zone blocking or lateral movement. His agility is limited. But if you want a physical lineman to get vertical and drive defenders back, Slater fits the mold. Late rounds, looking ahead, picks 180, 213, 215, and 222. With 3 picks in round 6 and 1 in round 7, the Raiders have flexibility to take a few shots on developmental prospects. And this is the part of the draft where teams find value by identifying traits they can mold. Wrestling backgrounds, versatility, football IQ, all of it matters here. Quick note, high school wrestling background, hidden gold. A quick trend to highlight. Offensive linemen with wrestling experience tend to thrive. Why? Body control, leverage, hand placement, it all translates to the trenches. Jackson Powers Johnson was a high school wrestler, and he's one of the top interior prospects in this draft class. So keep an eye out for other O-linemen with that background. It's a small detail that often leads to big success. Wrapping it up. Raiders' strategy, moving forward. As we head into the final rounds, expect the Raiders to continue building a tough, versatile offensive line. Whether it's adding depth with players like Wyatt Millam, banking on traits with Jackson Slater, or going for high IQ linemen like Miles Frazier, the blueprint is clear. Build the foundation in the trenches. And with multiple picks still on deck, don't be surprised if they grab 2 offensive linemen this year, one at tackle and one on the interior. Coming up next, we're breaking down potential round 6 and round 7 targets in the next segment. So stick around and make sure your notifications are turned on. Let us know in the comments. Who's your favorite offensive lineman the Raiders could draft on day 3? We're going deep on value picks next. Players that could end up being long-term starters for Vegas. We're into the final rounds of the 2025 NFL Draft, and with multiple late picks, the Raiders have a real opportunity to find hidden gems, especially along the offensive line. Round 6, pick 180 and beyond. Let's kick off round 6 with a player who stands out for his leadership and toughness. Joshua Gray, OL, Oregon State. A 5-year starter and team captain, Joshua Gray is the kind of lineman coaches love. Tough, experienced, and durable. He projects best as a guard at the next level due to his powerful run-blocking ability. However, there are some concerns in pass protection. His feet are a bit heavy, and that's shown up when he's asked to protect on the edge. He's listed by some as a tackle, but his skill set is much better suited to the inside. At 6 feet 5 inches, 300 pounds, he'll need to bulk up a bit, and ideally, improve his footwork. Still, in round 6, this is the type of developmental pick with starting upside. Round 7, deep sleepers, worth a look. The final round of the draft is about traits, versatility, and value, and a few names stand out. Caleb Rogers, OL Texas Tech. Caleb Rogers brings serious experience, logging over 4,200 snaps across every position on the line. Left tackle, left guard, and right tackle. He's a bit limited athletically, but he's smart, dependable, and a proven leader as a former team captain. If you're looking for depth and a potential utility lineman, Rogers fits the bill. Think of him as a Thayer Munford type who can step in when needed. Caleb Etienne, OL BYU. If you're chasing size and raw tools, Caleb Etienne might grab your attention. He's got elite length and physical traits, but his technique needs significant work. He's very much a project player, similar to how Dalton Wagner looked coming out of college. The size is there. It's just about cleaning up footwork and hand usage. Late in the draft, it's worth taking a swing on size like that. Jalen Travis, OL, Iowa State. A name generating some late-round buzz is Jalen Travis. At 6 feet 7 inches, 340 pounds, he's a massive presence up front. He only allowed 1 sack last season and started 12 games for Iowa State after transferring from Princeton. That Ivy League background speaks to his intelligence, and his improved play at the Power 5 level shows he can handle a higher level of competition. If you're looking for a developmental lineman with size, smarts, and upside, Travis is an intriguing option in round 7. Final thoughts with 3 sixth-round picks, 180, 213, 215, and a 7th rounder, 222, the Raiders are in a great position to add depth to the offensive line. Whether it's a versatile veteran like Caleb Rogers, a developmental powerhouse like Caleb Etienne, or a high-upside sleeper like Jalen Travis, there's a lot of potential value to be found. If Las Vegas ends up drafting 2 offensive linemen this year, Don't be surprised if one comes from this late round group. These are the kind of gritty, high effort players that help build long term success in the trenches. Stick around. We'll have live draft coverage with every pick, every move, and every analysis you need. And hey, if you had to pick just one late round offensive lineman to take a flyer on, who would it be? Drop your take in the comments below.